investigation into so-called partygate. That's it. It's Boris Johnson is still there, and he doesn't have any more to answer.
Well, I think actually many Conservative MPs have said that they are going to wait and see what happens with the Sue Gray report. And of course, the road is open now for that being published. It should be as soon as possible. And the real problem with all of this is, just as you mentioned, rather than talking about the cost of living crisis and the measures that Labour has called for, instead we still have a focus on all of this rule breaking, the sleaze, the scandal that's taking place around Boris Johnson, because he won't take responsibility for it. He initially lied about whether rules had been broken, about whether there had been parties in the first place. Since then, there seems to have been chaos as his MPs have tried to defend him. He just needs to take responsibility. He needs to resign, get out of the way. We need to have a government that will actually focus on those big issues, like the windfall tax, like the other measures that Labour is calling for, to help people through this awful cost of living crisis.
Anneliese, how frustrated are you that instead of having this really strong line that says you broke the rules, you leave, instead the leader of your own party is currently under investigation by Durham Police for potentially doing the same?
Well, I'm afraid that there is a really strong line, and it's about the difference between integrity and taking responsibility and running away. What we saw in Downing Street was repeated rule breaking, repeated parties over and over again, as we obviously know now, with Downing Street being the most fined location in all of the UK. There's literally no comparison at all with the situation with Keir Starmer. He said that he wants to be asked any questions that the police want to ask of him, and that if he is fined, he will immediately stand down. What a contrast with the way that the Conservatives have dealt with this. First of all, saying repeatedly there were no parties, nothing happened ever at any stage. And of course, Labour has been very clear. Yes, Keir was working. Of course he was. He had that courage. He's never said that he didn't have it. He's been very open about it. And we need to recognise there's a big difference between a politician who is honest and open and stands up for integrity in the way that Keir has done, and the Prime Minister's approach. This really does corrode trust overall, I would say, in the political system. It's got to be gripped onto.